Hello and welcome back. Today we are going to finish with the grapes by finishing the right hand grape. This is going to be essentially very similar to the left hand, with the only difference that it has a thumbstick. So it does need two analog inputs as well, but the rest of them are digital inputs. It's just different switches. For this build, we are going to need another 6x6x15 long switch. We are going to need also two 12mm push buttons. We are going to need two 3-position latching switches. These are the ones that stay in place. Two of them we're going to need. We are also going to need two of these 10x10 4-way switches. And lastly, the thumbstick, which you may be tempted to use. The most commonly seen ones are these ones, this type of PlayStation, Xbox controller thumbsticks, but these are not good. They don't have enough range of motion in here. I have tried to use them, but they don't work because they take too much room. So instead, we will be using one of these type of thumbsticks or joysticks, which are essentially moving flat in only X and Y axis. This is the easiest option to use. This is if you check for something like this, they are very common, very inexpensive, and very reliable. As you can see, they have 4 pins: VCC, Y, X, and ground. You will need to remove, I've cut this, but I will have to desolder and remove completely these pins to fit them in the grip. So they come by default with some pins, but you will have to desolder and remove them. You have this option, which is very cheap and very reliable. I'm going to be using this one here, which is essentially the same. It's a PSP 1000 thumbstick. And what I like about them against these ones is that, well, they are black in the background, so you don't see anything metal in here, and you can also get them in with the white cap. These ones, for instance, you can see the metal. They don't look as good, and the cap is black. It's not a big deal, but these are more reliable. This can be a little bit finicky sometimes. You have to solder the wires here. It also has 4 pins. But sometimes they are not as reliable. I don't know if it's because they are Chinese knockoffs or whatever, but I might need to replace this afterwards with this one. But I'm gonna try this one first. So I have supports for both of them. So I'm gonna have to clip these 2 tabs with the clippers, and then it will fit in this support, and this support will be screwed in here. But we will do that later. And I do also have support for this type of joysticks, so I will share both of them in my Thingiverse. But as I said, I'm just gonna try this one for now and pray it works. They look much better. So with that being said, let me prop things up in here, and I'll be right back. So here we are. I've already set everything except for this one for the same reason. This is recessed, so it's going to be easier to solder it loose, and then once everything is wired in, I will attach it. But we will not start with this yet. First thing we're going to do is going to wire this. It's better to feed the wires in after they have been soldered to the pads. Because it's a tight fit and it's going to be hard to solder through this hole. So first thing, it's going to be attaching the leads, which I'm going to be attaching a couple of, not a couple, one for ground, one for VCC, and 2 analog wires, long ones, so they go out the grip, right? So for these ones, the pads are not labeled, obviously, because they are not meant to be soldered like this. But just so you know, looking this way, the top one is VCC, then the second one is one of the ways. It doesn't matter, it says up and down, but if you put it like this, it's going to be sideways. So anyway, it's one of the analog inputs. The third one is ground, and the last one is the other analog inputs. So I'm gonna wire, I'm gonna use that as a reference, and I'm gonna show you how it looks like. So as you can see, red is for VCC, and then I've used green for the two analogs and black for ground. Now that it's soldered, I can feed the wires through the hole and put this in place. It's a tight fit, so you might have to press a little bit hard. There you are. Oops, don't worry, this just pops out. There you are. So now I can screw this to the top section as well via these 4 holes here. So let me do that. So now that this is in place, we are gonna just ignore it for now and get to the digital part of them, digital inputs, exactly the same way as we did in the previous, in the left grip. So one common wire to all of them. This 6x6 button has to be on its own, so it's going to be 2 independent labels. One thing I did not mention, I forgot to mention, is I like to drop a small, after I've soldered, because to drop a small drop of super glue to hold it in place. It should not move, but just in case, since you're pushing this way, you don't want this popping out, so just put a dab of super glue after you have soldered the 2 leads. I forgot to do that in the other grip, but I'll do that off camera. So yeah, I'm not gonna repeat what I did. Not gonna show you, so I'm gonna exactly do the same thing. So 1 lead to 1 leg of each button. The common one is the middle one in here, and the ground one in this one, and in this one. But I'm just gonna jump to everything soldered. So all the leads, including the individual ones, because you already saw that in the previous video. So here we are again with the rat's nest. Not so much this time, because there's only 15 digital inputs in this top section, but still quite a few. If you do like I did, that I kind of accidentally soldered red and black wire to the 6x6 button. It doesn't matter the color, just don't get them mixed up. These are not ground and VCC. Well, actually one of them is ground, but you know, it's just the colors match. But yeah. So now, since there's only 15 wires there, there's gonna be enough in these shift registers to fill them in. However, one of them we are not going to solder. Again, it's the 6x6, but we need to feed the wire again through this bridge. So we will leave that without soldering until we are ready to attach it to the bottom section. So let's do that. Okay, since you have already seen everything in the previous video, it's exactly the same. I just went ahead and attached the two halves together. So I attached the out of the bottom section to the in shift register of the top section, and all the wires are wired in, including the 6x6 that goes below this piece here, as I mentioned. So I have not touched the analog. I've left it where we left it before, so nothing has been done to this. I've attached the 5 wires here, and I've attached long wires here coming out of the last shift resistor. So these ones are the ones that are going to go into the enclosure. But as you may have noticed, I've only attached the 3 center wires. I have not done ground and VCC yet. And why is that, you may ask? Well, the reason is that we already have 2 VCC and ground wires here. So the ones that we are going to be using for the joysticks are exactly the same VCC and ground pins in the Arduino board that we are going to be using for the shift register. So instead of having 2 long red and black wires coming out, two for the joysticks and 2 for the shift registers that we will have to anyway wired together or something, because there's only one VCC and one ground pins in the Arduino board that we are going to use. I'm just going to use this same wire. So what I'll do is I'll strip out, these are silicone coated wires, so it's very easy to just peel off a little bit. So I'm just going to peel it off a little bit and then connect them here, like so, something like that, right? And that way we only have one red wire and one black wire coming out of the grip. That's a way to save wiring coming into the enclosure. And then these green wires will also fit through the hole, same as before. So let me do that and show you. So this is what it looks like. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but the red and black wires coming out of the joysticks are piggy-tailed here, and these are the long wires coming out. Something else that you could do is just use shorter red and black wires in the joystick and then connect them to the available pads for ground and 5 volts in the first shift register, which is not going to be used. So and all the 5 volts and grounds are connected. So there's going to be 5 volts in this pad, even if it's not used as well, because it's connected to this, and then it's connected to there, and then it's connected to the Arduino board. So you could also use shorter wires and connect them here, and then use the 5 long wires here as always. One thing to note, if you are using port expanders, you should have one port expander at the bottom using 8 pins and having 8 more pins available, and then another one in the hat section or the top section using 15 of the ports and leaving one available. That means that you would have 9 pins in total available between the two port expanders. You are going to need, if you're using that method, you are going to need to wire 3 more wires, at least 3 more wires, and feed them through the hole into the enclosure. You're going to need those 3 wires at the very least, out of the 9 available that you still have. You can use more because I've provided in the enclosure space for additional input. So I have these switches here. I'm using, what is it? Yeah, these are 2 position only, but you can use 3 positions or whatever you want, or nothing. I mean, these are just additional for, I don't know, SRS, F views like F10 view or whatever. If you want to, you don't need them at all, but these are optional. So if you want to use this, then you will need to fit more than those 3. But the 3 at least are mandatory. You do need those 3. We won't do it with the shift registers in here because we will be placing a 4th shift register inside here. And that's going to be in the next video. But yeah, we still need 3 more digital inputs at least. So yeah, take that in mind and feed those 3 wires if you're using port expanders into the enclosure. So now what's left to do is just feed this, the 5 wires from the shift registers through the hole there, and also the 2 analog, in my case, green wires. And that way I know these are the shift registers, these are the analog, and it's now just a matter of closing the enclosure same as before. Just make sure not to pinch any wire, like so. And then just pull the wires out as much as they can. Don't pull too hard on them. And as before, just screw a couple of screws because you may need to come back into this. So that's going to be it for today. Thank you very much for watching. And in the next episode, we will be attaching both grips into the enclosure and including we're going to be attaching them to the Arduino already. So good progress so far. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.